Everybody, welcome back to the Running Through It YouTube page. Another little quick video today concerning, since I'm at work, I figured I'd do my lunch break again, concerning the Mary Cain story that dropped this morning. I'm not going to make this about me, but just to kind of relate my story to Mary Cain's story, the reason I started the podcast and the YouTube page was to kind of talk about my mental health struggles as a college athlete, like the tendencies I picked up as a college athlete of just like going hard and the mental grind that it took that wore out on me, and some of the kind of mental health tendencies that I picked up that I've had my whole life that under the stress of college really presented themselves. I've kind of talked about some of the things I've gone through before. One of the things I picked up in college was a disordered eating habit of bred of the wanting to be faster, wanting to be lighter, thinking that the lighter I was, the faster I could go. This turned into me eating like 1,500 calories a day sometimes, not being able to sleep, really getting burnt out, and just like mentally just having a lot of anxiety over like my food choices and losing weight. And that was on my own. I didn't have a coach that was pressuring me to lose weight. That was me convinced through things that I would have read before, convinced through the culture that me being lighter weight meant I'd be a better runner, a faster runner. Now imagine if you had outside influences of your professional coach telling you that you need to be lighter to be fit, and then weighing you in front of your teammates and making you feel like a piece of shit for not losing weight. Mary Cain went to Alberto Salazar Nike Oregon Project as a 16-year-old. Essentially, she was going to be the female Galen Rupp, right? The teenage phenom who would be sculpted by Alberto Salazar, who would go on to be America's next great distance runner. As a 16-year-old, moved from the East Coast to the West Coast to train with Nike Oregon Project. And if you haven't read the story or watched the video that came out today, please do, because it's honestly just so heartbreaking. Mary Cain, I don't know, is somebody that people of my age, and if you've been in running for a while, you kind of watched her grow up, and then you wondered kind of what happened. Everything kind of blew up with Nike Oregon Project. She left the team, moved back to the East Coast, and you didn't really hear that much from her. It turns out she's been struggling this whole time, and Nike and Nike Oregon Project and Alberto Salazar and the coaches involved never offered her the resources to get the help that she obviously needed. And it's very frustrating to see this all break down. I'm going to have Rachel Stein on the podcast this weekend to kind of go over a conversation that we had back in February, which I'll link down in the show notes. Basically talking about how prevalent this is in college athletics, where, especially in females, I mean, it happens with both genders, obviously, but with females, just the societal pressures and the pressures of an organization. And there's a lot of like, it's just kind of built into the DNA of being a female runner at a certain point, that you just think that you have to be lighter in order to be faster. And then there's these pressures from, if your coach is drilling it into you that you need to lose weight, you need to be at a certain racing weight in order to be fit, that's going to lead to disordered eating habits, that's going to lead to eating disorder, which can lead into other mental health aspects. And if you already have anxiety, if you're already prone to being depressed, if you develop this eating disorder, it just all kind of feeds into itself in the greater mental health picture. And Mary Cain goes in to talk about how she was depressed and she wasn't seeing the results that she thought she needed. She felt alone and she didn't have a support system, and that she went on and she was cutting herself and was harming herself, damaging herself. And no one seemed to care, and she didn't have that support system. So her coming forward is really important because it gives us as fans, as spectators of the sport, kind of an insight into not everything is always as it seems from the outside looking in. And like, yeah, we probably knew something was up there, but no one ever came out about it. It's been 4 years. Mary Cain's just now coming out. And as someone who, like, from 16 to 18, very formative years of your life, wasn't in the right state of mind, wasn't in the right place to succeed, and was not taken care of, away from her family, away from her support system, and it just seems to really tear her up mentally and physically, and it's very heartbreaking to read. I'm going to recommend a book, Kate Fagan's piece called What Made Maddie Run, about Madison Holleran, and the reason why Mary Cain's story is so important, and her coming forward, so that you can see this phenom runner, this person who has a lot of potential in the sport, that ran really well. They made a fucking US team. Her coming forward with a very similar story to Maddie's story, and they both ended entirely differently. It just, hopefully, the more this stuff comes out, the more we realize that it's okay to open up about it, that it's okay to talk about it, that we're not alone, that we aren't the only person to have ever suffered this before. Because one of the things with suffering from any mental health disorders, you feel so isolated from everyone else. So that's just my initial thoughts. Again, I'll have a longer conversation on the podcast this week, but in the meantime, my DMs are always open. Give me a shout out, or not a shout out, send me a message at HornerCongest on Twitter and Instagram. Like, I'm always down to talk. I've been through it. I go through it constantly. I'm always constantly checking in on myself, constantly making sure I'm doing all the things I need to do, and sometimes I don't, and that's okay. But we need to be open, we need to be ready to talk about it, and we need to know that it's okay, and we're not alone, and we're not isolated, that it's more prevalent than we think of, especially in athletes at a high level. So many people go through it, so many people think that they're alone as they're going through it. Anyway, that's enough for me today. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon.